Welcome to Smash Trivia. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia to follow everything that's happening with me. I'll be the one with the big old green head in the profile picture. I'm so excited to get into this. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, in this series, I'm going to review everything Hulk, all the movies and TV shows. Maybe at some point I'll get into comics, but that's a while off. Hope you enjoy the Gamma Analysis. So I want to ask everyone that's listening that if they could please do something for me. Please share the hell out of this podcast with all your friends, because I really want to get the Gamma Analysis to be big enough that by the time She-Hulk comes out, that maybe I could become pressed and either get like the first episode early or be invited to the premiere or just get one of those cool press goodie boxes. All right, for this episode, I'm going to review the two Incredible Hulk pilot movies. Just so you know, this is not a critical podcast. Every episode of mine, I will always try to put out positive vibes. So while I will mention a couple of things I don't like, I won't dwell on them. And the majority of my review will be things I liked in it. With that being said, I do have a guest today, and I'm not going to force him to follow the same code of positivity if he doesn't want to. Our guest today is Keith, aka KeithSketches, aka Filmkritter, or with a K. Keith is also the one who made my magnificent logo. Welcome, Keith. How you doing, man?
Thank you, John. I'm doing well. That is an awesome fanfare and introduction. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right. Before I start off the episode, I have one thing I do every episode. Well, this is the second episode, so I did it last week at 8, but I have a trivia question, and you can answer this, Keith, if you want to try. I will be giving the answer to it later in the show. So, after the cancellation of his first series, which comic did the Hulk make regular appearances in?
Ooh. I wanna say like probably like Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes or something like that, but I could be wrong. I don't know the Hulk comic history as much as just basically I think most of my knowledge is from the MCU, sadly. I don't know. That's okay. A good one.
Well, I will be giving the answer to that later in the show.
Cool.
All right, so we'll be starting off with the first review. So the first of the films is just entitled The Incredible Hulk. So I'm surprised by how soon after the Hulk was first appeared in comics that his first live action appearance in this was just 15 years after he had been introduced. And wow. It was just 4 years after he was introduced that he got a cartoon adaptation, which I'd really like to review that first cartoon on here, but I have no idea how to find a way to watch it. But you can find online the theme song, and it's fantastic.
It is. It was very not what you'd expect from a show about anything comic book related at all.
Yeah, it really did surprise me when I listened to it, but honestly, I kind of loved it. Yeah,
very, very catchy.
So my first really thing about the show is I wrote down the opening words that show up within each of us. Oftentimes there dwells a mighty and raging fury. And I thought that was a really nice quote to start this off.
Yeah. Very ominous, very kind of terrifying. It sets the tone for sure.
Yeah. I think that's it really is such a perfect quote to start off sign for Hulk. Do you have what is your first note?
My favorite, like that quote really, like I say, sets the tone, and I was surprised right off the bat. Like I can pretty much get into anything from from older decades and stuff, but I was very surprised at how quickly I was starting to take it seriously with how campy I know a lot of 70s shows can be, but the tone is set very serious, very dark. But the like opening sequence that they have of like the romance before everything goes bad is like a totally different show. It's like they are advertising almost like a romance comedy, a rom-com, and then everything goes bad, and it's like, oh wow, all right, we're gonna completely catch up with a very tortured soul.
Oh yeah, like I wrote that on actually my next one was that I was like never in a million years would have expected a Hulk thing to start with a romantic montage. And if I'm being honest, I wish they didn't do that. like, I was just like, oh, I don't really. This is not what I came here to watch.
Yeah, exactly. I feel
Oh
like I feel like it might have been like a nice at the time anyways. I mean, we've seen tons of stuff since then that I'm sure changes things, but I feel like at the time it was probably okay, you're tuning into the Hulk. If you've seen it in your, TV guide and you're going to tune in to this whatever Monday night or Sunday night Hulk and try something new. Here's a total left out of left field kind of misdirect to have a lot of people reaching for the TV guide and reaching for the remote and wondering, did I get the right show? Is this the one about the green guy? It's yeah, it's a little misleading.
yeah, almost like have you seen The Cabin in the Woods from 2012?
Yes, love
Uh,
that movie.
Honestly, I wish that I was able to watch that when it first came out, because it just seems like such an interesting idea of being subverted right when you get into a movie. And because I had watched it for the first time last year, actually, I actually had already known before going into it that there was the subversion.
Yeah, that movie had a lot of difficulty, I think, gaining traction with people because a lot of people got spoiled. Like I think it because of word of mouth, it gained success. So a lot of people got spoiled. But a
Yeah.
fantastic movie if you can forget what's about to happen.
Yeah. Man, it really is a fantastic film.
Oh yeah.
So let's see. My next note was it shows him waking up, but with how much emotion you can see on that face, I knew immediately that that crash was not a dream. That really happened. And also it was such damn good acting though, because I feel bad for this character that I just met.
Yeah. Agreed. I was very impressed by the actor playing was it Bill Bixby?
Yes.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I'd never seen him in anything before, and I knew that the guy playing David Banner, not Bruce Banner. I knew that he was someone I'd never seen in anything else before. So I was very happy that he was up for the job.
Yeah. I imagine the reason why you probably haven't seen him in much is because sadly, near the beginning of the 90s, he passed away.
Ah,
Yeah.
oh wow. He couldn't have been that old.
Yeah, I think he was like maybe in his 50s or something.
Wow. Okay.
Uh,
Well, definitely
they
made
were
famous by this for
Yeah,
sure.
they were making a third, I think, or fourth TV Hulk movie that um they were still in the writing phase or something, and when he passed away, so they weren't able to finish it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So what is your next note?
Well, on the same note of incredible acting, my favorite thing, and maybe this is jumping too far ahead. My favorite thing about this first episode is by far Elena Marx's character. She sold this movie for me, or this first episode for me, because I recognized her from another show I grew up with. I was like way separated in years, but it was a sitcom called Dharma and Greg, and she played Greg's mother in this, like, it's kind of like what if a Wall Street banker type guy was fell in love with and married like the daughter of a couple of hippies, and the whole joke of being like two worlds colliding, and the Wall Street banker's mother is played by Susan Sullivan, who played this Dr. Elena Marks, and she is so charismatic, like with the kid at the beginning, and like just the patience and how she's leading the compassion of the show, of the episode. Anyways, I mean, not knowing anything about the series, I really didn't expect her to spoilers, pass away, and it was that was shocking.
Yeah, I love that character, and I really wish that they didn't have her pass away, because I wanted her to be like the female lead of the show.
That would have been awesome. She
Yeah.
seemed like a Betty Ross type character. She was a scientist with him. She helped him. Like, isn't that? I don't know if that's accurate to the comics or not, but like I know a lot of other iterations show Betty Ross being right alongside him for the experiments and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a character from the comics, but I don't mind it not, because it's such a great character. And but though honestly, that skipped only one of my notes. But I can come back to that one after this. But what I had wrote was that I liked that this shows Dr. Elena Marks because though I don't recognize her from the comics, I like this character existing because this came out in the 70s. So I think having a female scientist would be very progressive for the time.
Absolutely. I was thinking that too. I was like, she's not only is she like matched with him as far as brilliance, but she's taking the charge of a lot of scenes, and like she's brave as all hell because she stands up to this monster and doesn't, even though she admits that she was scared afterwards, she holds her own and doesn't go screaming and running away. She's not a damsel in distress. I mean, she is a damsel in distress near toward the end, but it's really not the same as the type of female characters that you get out of older material.
Mm-hmm. One thing I did wrote that I really did not like was that one of her co-workers is right when she was first introduced was objectifying her, and that is sadly something that probably as I review this show I will probably find a lot of, because it was from the 70s.
Oh yeah. Yeah, things hadn't quite progressed enough to write that stuff out. But at the same time, like I remember that scene where she's walking past the guy at the desk. She's carrying all the books or whatever, and like he starts hitting on her, and she just kind of fires back with some smart ass remarks. And I was it was likable and strong lead all the same. It was cool.
Yeah, that was the exact scene I was talking about. One of her coworkers objectifying her. So the one note that I had that got skipped over was, so I noticed David works at Culver Institute, and in The Incredible Hulk 2008, Bruce goes to similarly named Culver University. I thought that was a nice parallel.
Yeah, nice. I don't know if that's even from the comics, but like if you're gonna pay off the show, like I even felt like this. I know this is probably skipping ahead again, but even like the machine that he sits in to give himself the gamma injections or the gamma radiation exposure looked like they had done. I think it was the Edward Norton movie, the 2008. It seemed like they had done that justice as far as like picking the same kind of, like I could have sworn he was sitting in the opening montage in like a chair just like that with like the crosshairs over him and stuff. It was you could tell a lot of stuff took inspiration from the show.
Yeah, I think the only difference, and I seem to remember this, is so I don't know because I haven't seen it in a while, but I think he had like something in his mouth out during the experiment in The Incredible Hulk.
Oh yeah, like a mouth guard or something.
Yeah.
Like
my brain for some reason is like it looks like a big cigar or something, but I don't think that would be what it was.
That'd be a Wolverine move.
Oh man, can you imagine if during his Wolverine's experiments, he just has as under the water a cigar in his mouth? That'd be amazing.
They'd be if a super lab like that can make the Wolverine, they could make a waterproof cigar. That's they could make a lot of money off that too. Maybe that's how they got their funding for Weapon X.
My next note was I liked seeing David coming in and offering the kid half of his donut. That just shows how nice of a guy he is.
Yeah, they know that coming in for experiments and stuff like that, or coming in for even just doctor's appointments and checkups is scary for kids. So I loved how at ease they put that kid at the very beginning. It showed a lot of heart.
And it's not just the it's the stereotypical lollipop that at this point I don't think does much calming down when since you just expect that at a
yeah
office.
If I had to choose between a doctor that handed out lollipops and a doctor that handed out donuts, I know I'd be going to the donut doctor.
Yeah, though the doctor probably well, most doctors would be like, yeah, no, that's very unhealthy.
Very true.
What is your next note?
Well, I felt like the first transformation, though I know it takes a while to get to. Maybe that's jumping again way too far ahead. I apologize.
It's fine, but it's fine. I'm fine with jumping back and forth. Since like I have some more notes earlier on, but we can just jump back to mine, jump forward to yours, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do whatever you want. The just seeing how many times he gets angry at people or gets angry in situations, it's funny to think of like how supercharged the Hulk seems in more recent stuff, where it's like if Mark Ruffalo was screaming or angry at a flat tire, he would have probably changed a lot quicker than this Hulk. And it was like they were not quite there, where they made the stakes so high that him just losing his temper for 5 seconds was going to do it. It had to be a lot more. It almost seemed as though he changed more so from trauma as opposed to just anger, or like even just being in need. Like it's like the Hulk came out when he knew he was needed. Mm-hmm. It was interesting.
Yeah. That really is interesting. I let's say so yeah, the trauma part is really interesting. But I was very surprised by I thought it was really interesting how the connection between him turning the Hulk and this psychological strength that you get when you need it. Particularly a lot of times happens in mothers.
Yeah, the adrenaline rush of like magnificent feats of strength that come out of nowhere. It's like, okay, this is I didn't even think about the fact that he'd be studying this in people. It was an interesting concept, because I don't ever think I've heard the Hulk origin story told that way, where he's like working on anger and how it affects people, or adrenaline, I guess.
Yeah, like how I've always known it was that he's just as he works on gamma radiation, and that's how he turned into the Hulk. And I really did think it was interesting how they added this extra layer to it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Let's see. Let's see. My next one on. I think it's funny how the machine is somehow modified to magnify up to a million times. So like, I'm not sure that that you could do that, but okay.
Someone's been tampering with it. Yeah, that was that machine looked. I liked the idea that this machine that was dealing with high levels of radiation in this, it almost felt like the fact that it took place in the 70s and the fact that this machine looked the way it did, it's like it's more likely to have an accident than some machines that would do the same thing today, because it just felt so rattly. Like it felt janky.
I had wrote I don't think you can say it was an accidental overdose of gamma rays if you turn up the dial to 300,000. But then I like, well, later, like it was revealed that it was like a couple million or so. Like, I thought 300,000 was a lot.
Yeah, really. And it's like, I'm sorry, you tampered with a machine that deals with radiation, and you made it deal out more, and you didn't put that in the memo binder or something. Like, just leave a message or something. Put a post-it note on it saying something like that.
I thought I thought was kind of cool looking was how it zoomed into his cells earlier on in it.
That was awesome. I was surprised at that level of I guess at that point I was wondering, well, how else are they going to show that in the 70s? That was really cool.
Yeah, it looked real. It
did.
didn't look like some really janky animation or something.
Yeah. People before CG, they had to find out practical ways of doing things, and even if it took a really long time, not that CG doesn't. But yeah, that was pretty cool.
I thought it was really funny how he kept thinking he can easily pick up the stretcher.
I had a feeling the second he lifted that stretcher, I'm like, he's gonna try again and see no difference. Like, I called it.
So, and now I've actually gotten with my my notes. It's up to the point where you were where this note is right around where you said of his first transformation. I was like, Hulk just has to start trying to destroy this nice muscle car after his first transformation.
Yeah, I wondered like the logistics of, okay, who donates these cars to get smashed and destroyed like that. But at the same time, did it remind you of the moment in Endgame where he says, I think it's gratuitous, but okay, and he starts like just hammering on the top of that taxi?
It did remind me, but that is a nice comparison. Oh man, I was surprised though at how little strength he has compared to his later on counterparts.
Very true. Yeah, they were let's start somewhere where we can work our way up type of thing. I was, know what I liked the most about the Lou Ferrigno moments was the fact that they slowed him down. They did a lot of slow-mo, and it makes it more epic. And it's like, even though like Lou Ferrigno, he's still a big guy. He's like 6'4". He's obviously ripped, but to make something seem enormous, slowing it down is the best trick. Because I remember that being one of the best things, one of my favorite things about seeing Giant Man or Ant-Man in the Civil War movie, was the fact that they got the physics of it right. That when someone grows to that size, just like any large crane or any kind of mechanical thing that big, it can't move quickly like it's small. It has to cover more space. So that little touch really changes how believable it is that you're seeing this gigantic creature.
Oh yeah, so it really does help. And my next note, which I think this was in actually the slow-mo, was I really like that explosion while Hulk's arms were up in the air. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I am a pretty simple guy. I most explosions, I will like them.
Just what the doctor ordered.
So what is your next note?
Essentially, it was just the idea that that getting into like it really did feel like a movie production, and I love the fact that it was as long as it was, and I'm sure it was a big television event to have. And I know that some shows do have a premiere that's longer than their regular episode runtime, but this was a heck of a feat to greenlight and shoot and edit a full Hulk movie in 1977 just to have it only play on television, but to launch like years and years of television.
So I actually know a little bit about that. So originally this and the second episode, they aired in November, and then the rest of the show didn't air till like March or something the next year. And I'm guessing they greenlit the rest of the show after they saw how well people liked these two movies.
Oh, absolutely.
Also also, like as you said, like that only aired on television. Actually, in a bunch of other countries, is it released theatrically. And I've seen some of the posters is online for what it looked like, and like their poster or for the movie theaters and there were actually some really cool looking posters that were made up for it. There was one poster that was definitely Lou Ferrigno Hulk, but they made him big, making him actually look like he is the comic book Hulk.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool seeing that. And I agree with you. It did feel like a movie, and I loved that about it.
Oh, absolutely. I was just like, once I was bought into it, and like I say, that Lena Mark's character really helped. I feel like the slow pace of it would annoy some people, but I feel like I was really expecting that. I mean, I watch a lot of things from different decades, and of course, the 1970s are going to have a slower pace than what we're used to these days. But you buy into it, you sit and give it a bit of patience, and you can really enjoy yourself.
I was looking for a while of when is the Hulk gonna come out? How long is it gonna be into the film? And though I remember while I was watching it that it felt like it took a while of the fact that we're already there in my notes. It's I don't think it actually took as long as I thought it did.
Yeah, it probably, like, if it was anything to do with the Hulk today, the Hulk would have shown up in probably the first 5 minutes. It's just a totally different culture we're used to now, a totally different pace of action, and people had to wait for their action back then. And
I think it's also that I wasn't fully invested in it yet at that point. So it felt longer before the Hulk all came in. But pretty quickly after that, I was really invested into it.
Yeah, they do a great job of making you care about the characters. It's really, a lot of people don't know what they're missing if they have never seen it before.
Oh yeah. My next note was I love the scene with Hulk saving the child that he had scared, and then him going after the dad for shooting him, but he didn't try to kill the Hulk, kill the dad. He simply broke the gun and then threw the dad into the water to save the daughter. Exactly. I think that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly a pacifist. He doesn't like guns. I can't blame him. And he's like, I don't prefer being shot to not being shot. So I'm going to break your gun, which hurt me, even if I'm fine the next day. And I'm going to chuck you into the water. But I didn't even think about the fact that he kind of threw the dad over to the water, and the dad ends up saving the kid, which is what the dad should have been doing anyways. But people get scared, they make silly mistakes.
Like it's definitely understandable what the dad's reaction and to him, because never seen something this big and green before, but I at least me, it's just, like, really does go to show. Oh, as I said in my last review, with one of the scenes in Hulk 2003, is that's what heroes do, and Hulk is a hero, and I love it when things really show him being a hero by saving people, not just fighting the bad guys, but actually saving someone, taking someone out of an area. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, he definitely doesn't really hesitate compared to, I'm sure, what Banner would, but he doesn't feel like, um he feels way more in control, except when he gets shot. But he feels way more in control than other iterations we've seen of the Hulk. He's like, yeah, no, I'll save you.
yeah.
That's what heroes do, like you said.
Um. So, what's your next note that you had?
I don't have a lot of notes left, sadly.
Okay.
I
Well,
mean, the big explosion. Well, I was gonna say that the dude, the reporter guy that I know comes back a lot, McGee, I think it is.
yes.
Yeah, he I feel his character kind of popped in and out. Not, I didn't expect him to be. I guess I expected him to see more of him, I guess is what I'm saying. And he really didn't play a huge part. And I feel like they are building to something, especially after seeing the second episode. But because I noticed that actor is in every like episode of the series. Or
Yeah, I was surprised when I looked on IMDb. I was like, oh, he's in every episode. I had actually wrote it later in my notes that I think it's kind of interesting to have this reporter as the first antagonist for the show. Oh, thinking when I wrote that he was just in this episode, and that he was the quote unquote villain of the week.
Yeah, yeah, and it does feel like a type of show, and I kind of knew that going in, that it was that he ends up traveling and saving people along the way. It's almost like a Murder She Wrote kind of thing. Like there's a new mystery to solve, and the brains of David Banner will help, and so will the brawn of Hulk. And I thought that was a cool take on the whole idea. And I didn't even know if maybe the early comics were like that. I don't know if he wasn't fighting supervillains, he was fighting just day to day problems. But yeah, I would have 100% guessed that something more was going to happen with that reporter the first time.
Yeah. I really like though that they have it that he is traveling around saving people, because that makes it so that every episode can have a very different feeling than the one before it, and it's not just every episode feels like the same thing again and again.
Yeah, it's good variety. It's good. That's a good way to give the show some longevity.
Uh, um, I remember some months ago, the first time I actually saw anything really of the show other than just like pictures or 5 seconds or something that just pop up in something else. Where I watched this clip from the show where he saw this child who was being abused by his father, and the Hulk stepped in to fight him. That's something you don't really see in superhero things, but you see in this, and I love that they show him dealing with these real world villains.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Who's to say that just because they don't have like a mask and a funny name that they're not supervillains in their own right? And these people are committing just as heinous deeds that are a lot more relatable in a lot of ways.
Um, if you'd like, since it seems I have a lot more notes set up than you, I'll just like go through my notes, and then like once it gets to a point where there's a note that you are at, then you can interject with your note.
Absolutely. I might react to some of yours that
Yeah.
you might have a better memory for it than I do, and you're probably better at note taking.
I've really started trying to take as many notes as possible when I'm reviewing things, because I started noticing like, my reviews on YouTube, I don't like how these are only like a couple minutes long. I would like these to be a lot longer.
Yeah.
So I started trying to take more and more notes. Um, Part of the reason why I started trying to do this podcast is because I was recording for my videos for YouTube on my phone, and there's only so long that my phone can record. So I want to have a much longer form content.
Smart. Yeah, that makes
Uh,
sense.
So, my next note was, I think it was really clever how they did the first transition scene back to human in the water reflection.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That was awesome. I love that they do how they do the eyes on David Banner as well. It's pretty terrifying.
My next note was, I like the look of the secure lab that they went to after leaving Elena's house.
Is that the one that explodes? I forget.
Yes, it was the basement end
Yeah,
of that there.
it
Yeah.
did look really legit, and not only the exterior of the building, the lab itself was that was a great set for him to smash up.
Like, it looks like they spent so much money on this set, so I was so surprised by how they destroyed it in this first episode. I was thinking it was gonna be like a sort of base of operations throughout the show. That
Yeah,
like every once in a while he'd be coming back to.
same. I
Uh,
definitely thought the same thing.
um, Yeah, I actually was where I actually had written down about how I thought 300,000 gamma rays was high. I but 2 million is insane. uh,
It's like no
uh,
wonder he turned into a green monster.
oh yeah. I, I wrote as well that I like how that this shows the scientist in David trying to bring the Hulk back out to learn about it, versus every other iteration, he immediately already wants to get rid of it.
True.
I think
And it's just a
that's
curse.
really cool.
It's almost like Professor Hulk, where he sees the merit
Yeah.
to marrying the two creatures, himself and the other guy.
Mm-hmm. I wrote that it was kind of a beautiful moment before David goes to sleep and they touch hands on the glass of the test chamber. Um, I also
Him,
loved,
him and him and Elena.
yeah,
Yeah, that was nice.
I also loved Elena just narrating everything that the Hulk was doing inside the test chamber, thinking that, oh, she's just safe outside of it. There's no way he could get out.
Well, what a clever way to have is you're gonna shoot these little tiny little couple second sequences of him breaking this or busting that, and her narrating and giving a lot more weight to the situation by saying how strong that wall is or how thick that glass is, and they do a lot of the describing of that hyperbaric chamber to make sure that if he can do that to it and like bust through it like Swiss cheese, he's clearly way too strong to handle
Yeah.
this power. It's awesome.
Uh, um, I also to I thought it was a really interesting addition with this Hulk. His hair is tinted green, I kind of like that look of it, of the black with it being just anti green a little bit. It's kind of like the logo that you made up for me.
I'm glad you like that.
Uh,
The hair was one of the things that drove me nuts about both episodes. I was just like, why is it gotta be that shape? I have no problem with the green. The green was cool. You're right. It's just the and then he'd turn back into David Banner, and you'd see the shape of his hair all tousled up. And you're like, I guess it's the same shape. It's just the least cool thing about the
Yeah, it is a little weird, the shape of the hair.
Just looks like someone took a big bowl and cut his bangs for him and stuff.
So I said I never thought I'd see the Hulk sitting on a couch. I just thought that was really funny seeing.
I showed the like 3 or maybe 20 minutes of the second episode to my fiance, where she was just doing something in the same room, and I'd be like, "Look, this is what the Hulk used to look like," and she'd look over at the screen. I was like, "Look how ripped it! Look at his pecs!" And she's like, "That is all I'm looking at." she couldn't stop looking at his pecs. Because of how insanely large they're like. No one does, like, what? Like, maybe The Rock has, in his prime has like big pectorals like that, but that was insane. And you can see him like twitching them in most Hulk scenes too. He's like just giving it all. His big, he's a bodybuilder, right? So he's used to that pageantry.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a good thing that your fiance is not into comic book stuff, because it would probably be a bad thing if you took her to a Comic-Con that Lou Ferrigno was at, and she just was like, "Mr. Celia, girl."
she goes, she goes, "I know him from King of Queens." I said, "Oh, who did he play on that?" She says, "Lou Ferrigno." Like, oh yeah, okay. I didn't remember that.
Man. The second transition back to human, though, I honestly did not like how that one looked, and that's the same one that is shown in the second episode. So that kind of saddens me that that means the rest of the series is going to have that transition.
The like the glow, the green glow on the face type of thing.
Yeah, and it's just bouncing between them or something, with just these quick cuts, and there's no smoothness to it.
They might. I'm hoping that they try to experiment as the series goes on, and they change it up every now and then, because it does seem like they're maybe able to spend a bit more on special effects in some episodes than others, because like as the I'm jumping ahead again, as the second episode was going on with like, okay, now we're on to the last half hour, and suddenly there is a helicopter. And you're just like, wow, what is the budget on this show? And it's like, if one episode doesn't have a helicopter and maybe it has a few less explosions, then maybe they have a little bit more money to spend on the Hulk effects. It could be the case.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. I also wrote, so is it just me, or does the reporter kind of look like William Dafoe?
Oh hell yeah, yeah, he absolutely does. He's got this like gangly kind of skeleton kind of look to him, and it is unsettling. They could be brothers.
Yeah, so like when all my notes for the reporter in the second episode, I just I called him the William Dafoe looking reporter.
Hello, I'm Mr. Dafoe. Here to speak to Mr. Banner. Dr. Banner, sorry.
I knew that there was the sign that something was going to happen, because I saw the bottle fall, but I really did not expect the building to explode.
That I had this weird inkling that it was going to when she was left inside for that long. And I was just like, this isn't what's gonna happen to her, is it? And then when it started, I was like, no. And then when he saved her, I was still holding on to hope that no, they couldn't possibly. Why would they kill off such a great character?
Yeah.
And then she just dies after telling him she loves him. I was like, come on, that's who am I gonna root for now?
Yeah, like I was so surprised. Like I don't understand introducing a character or in the pilot episode of the show, making you love the character
Yeah.
and then killing her immediately.
Yeah. I could only imagine it being like maybe she was really popular at the time on another series, or maybe she got a different gig or something, but they were like, we want her for the star power. Or maybe they lost her to some contract, and they had maybe the ending was decided after a long shoot, because it takes a hell of a lot longer to shoot a movie than it does an episode of something. So
yeah, maybe. But it's like the only other instance I've seen of something happening like that is have you ever seen in the DC show Constantine?
no, I heard about it, and I saw the guy they had playing him, but I'd never seen the episodes.
So like they introduced in the first episode of the show this female lead, and then I don't remember whether they killed her off or not in the first episode, but she never came back after that first episode, and like she was a great character in the episode, and they brought in a different female lead after that for the rest of the show. It was
Huh.
really weird.
Yeah. It's funny because like I know sometimes they'll do like a depending on the studio or the TV network, the writers will want to have a clear distinction of high stakes by killing off a character in this pilot episode, so you don't see it coming and you're like, oh well, anyone could go at any time in the rest of this series. Like in the series Lost, I don't know if you ever seen Lost.
Yeah, I've seen it.
The first episode, originally the script was supposed to have Jack die in episode 1, like after saving a bunch of people, and then on the beach and stuff, and then he just dies and you don't see it coming. So that's what the writers wanted, but the studio got too scared. They were like, you know what, I don't think it'll fly. We really love this show, but we can't kill off the main character. We can't kill off this guy who's just gone around helping people. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we won't do it. But that was the desire would be to make everyone on the edge of their seats that way.
I think honestly they made a good decision, because I feel like it would be hard to get into a show if the main character you've been following passed away, and then the show has just a new main character for the rest of the show. It would just be so weird feeling.
I definitely agree. It's an ambitious thing, and it's admirable to me for them to have thought to do that. But at the same time, it's like, my favorite character is Jack. So if I would not have liked the show as much if my favorite character died in the first season of the first episode.
I wrote, because that this was before the second episode, obviously so I didn't really get the context of that. I wrote, why is there a gravestone with David's name on it, since he didn't die? Since they didn't explain it in the episode that he chose to do that so he could go on the run or something.
They didn't really go into it, did they?
Yeah, they only reveal it in the previously on segment from the second episode. Yeah. Though I really don't like that they changed his name in the show. I like that his grave at least references his comic book name by having it be his middle name.
Yeah. What was the you told me once before? What was the reason why they changed the name?
It was because apparently in the 70s is CBS they believe the name Bruce was, and I quote, too gay. Oh my god.
I remember rumors, not rumors, but when I was I grew up in the 90s, and even then I remember jokes being made by people that were probably in their 40s or 50s about the name Bruce being gay. And I was just sitting there going, like, being a huge fan of Batman at the time, I was like, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. And it was just like, that I could see now knowing how TV executives work and everything. I absolutely could see why they'd be so freaking. It's stupid, but it's like that is such a producer thing to do.
Yeah.
So dumb.
And honestly, it pisses me off. There are still people to this day who have positions of power who will say things like that and be like, and either change the course of a show or destroy or like cancel a show before it even starts by saying that. Um, I saw a few months ago. The creator of a show that was going to come out on ABC for a Marvel show called New Warriors, which was going to feature Squirrel Girl and like this was canceled a couple of years ago. Those never officially announced. The creator just came out this year and was like, yeah, so the reason why this never came out is one of the a producer who he didn't name, and he said and they said that the show was, and I quote, too gay.
Oh my!
Like,
Wow,
it's such a fucked up thing to do.
it is. I'm shocked to hear. How recently was this?
So he came out and said it about this this year, but the show this all happened, the show got canceled after they had filmed a full pilot episode.
Wow.
This happened in like 2017, 2018, something like that.
Was it supposed to be on Fox or something like
It was going to be on ABC. It was going to be a spinoff from Agents of Shield.
Wow. Well, I knew the New Warriors. New Warriors, wasn't it?
Yes, New Warriors.
That was the comic. That was one of the comics I collected as a kid. I really enjoyed the few that I had, and I remember they are a weird group of mutant kind of characters that I remember them always kind of playing part or having casting characters that were kind of living on the outskirts of the world. But it's like really, especially ABC. But then again, ABC is, Disney owned, and we only recently got our first like MCU gay character with the Eternals, at least the first official one. So it's like progress takes way too long, but
Yeah,
we're getting
there. And I think it's partially as well though. Um because of the divide between in Marvel TV and Marvel Studios. So Kevin Feige wasn't allowed to put output on these things. Just and like also like we talked about out Disney not putting gay characters in the movies. He's Kevin Feige for a long time, even though he had a very big presence in it up until like 2018, 2019, and he still was not the boss. He was still not technically the boss, and that was part of the reason why up until that point there was not a Black Panther film or Captain Marvel because the person who was the boss, they were not willing to allow for Black characters to lead or female characters to lead.
Wow.
And it really is such a fucked up thing that there are people in positions of power who act like that.
Still, like that's that just goes to show how lucky we are that Kevin Feige got finally the position he has. But I imagine he's still fighting with people.
Oh yeah, he I like his response to when someone asked him about how about the representation in Eternals, where he was like, he was like, no, this was not a big thing for us doing this. As we are just at the start of this. And this is how that is how we should be acting. Like you shouldn't be like, yes, I'm gonna praise myself because I included a gay character. that's
True,
not
sure.
how he should be.
It's like check it.
And
Like people think they need to check off a box, and it's like a status quo. It's like no, no, no. You need to continue. It's
yeah,
the right direction. It's just a drop in a bucket compared to what needs to happen.
yeah. So I one of my last notes for the first episode is the Lonely Man theme, which plays at the end of the episode. And it is a good sad song to end this episode, but this plays at the end of every episode. I really hope that doesn't mean every episode will have a sort of downer ending.
Yeah, it would be nice to shake it up a little and make some happy.
Yeah.
I agree.
So overall, I really liked this first episode. I don't think I liked it as much as I liked the Hulk 2003. But that's mainly just because that was more accurate to the comic book like looks of the Hulk, and I think there were more funny scenes in it. So yeah, and also I really like how the Hulk 2003 does go into how he had an abusive father.
True. Yeah, that's something that you don't see the representation enough of. It's like there's too many other. There's a lot of representation that needs to happen in movies. It's interesting to see what 2003 could have done, but you still wouldn't have as many open gay characters and other things going on. It's like, okay, well, they started with abusive fathers, and we'll work our way from there, I guess. But yeah, I definitely like this first episode. And spoilers, I liked it a lot more than the second episode.
I can agree with that. Yeah. All right, so on to the second episode, which actually has two different titles depending on what you on where you look it up.
Oh,
so one of the titles is Death in the Family, and
that's
then
the one I saw.
the other title, which I think this is the title that it was given when it first aired, and that was The Return of the Incredible Hulk.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So my first note on this was I really liked the narration that for that previously on segment.
Yeah, was that who? Do you know who did the narration? Was it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who did it, but I just really liked the sound of it.
Oh, it was kind of a movie trailer kind of voice, right? Of the
Yeah.
Times. Yeah, okay, I remember that narration. That was kind of a blast from the past to hear, because I feel like only recently have they done away with the movie trailer voice still. To this day. It reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah, though, like I love being able to hear like a movie trailer voice. There's someone who actually does things like that that I follow on Twitter. Have you ever heard of Epic Voice Guy?
I think so. Does he sometimes do stuff for not Screen Junkies?
Yes, he does. He does some stuff for Screen Junkies every once in a while. He's the one who does the voice for the Honest trailers.
Okay, yeah.
He's become really good friends like with Ryan Reynolds. Basically mainly because he has a perfect Ryan Reynolds voice as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, apparently he helped with like some ADR on Free Guy. That's such a cool thing. And also like the guy like you've heard how I have in the past few months I've been on a weight loss journey so he also in the past 6 months he's been on a weight loss journey too, and like he looks incredible now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name again? Is it a movie?
The
Epic Voice Guy?
Epic Voice Guy, and I think his real name is John Bailey.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's such a cool guy. Whole guy. I've talked to him a little bit on Twitter, where he's congratulated me a little bit on my weight loss journey as well. So it's just kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Um.
congratulations.
Yes. Uh, so, my next note was I kind of liked his scruffy look for while being on the run, which sadly he did not keep throughout the episode.
Yeah, I feel like back then it meant if you were scruffy, you wouldn't be taken seriously as a doctor. They had to lose the beard to be a respectable member of society.
Though I don't think anyone was taking him seriously throughout the episode anyway.
Very true. Yeah, everybody's like, "Who is this guy? Why isn't he telling us his real name?" Something fishy.
Which you can interject whenever with any notes. So you have. I just going through them myself off since I know that you have a lot less.
Yeah, so when it comes to the second episode, my biggest, like, I loved that it was the first where it was him interjecting himself into someone else's mystery kind of thing, like someone else's troubles.
Mhm.
What made me laugh and took me out of it a lot was the actress playing Julie, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Drove me absolutely nuts. I was just like, everything about like Elena Marx's character in the first episode, how great an actress she was, how great just a character, super strong, super charismatic. I feel like Julie was incredibly annoying. I know that she couldn't help it. I know that she was a damsel in many ways because of unfortunate circumstances. I was just so annoyed with her I don't know, her portrayal of the character.
Yeah, I can understand that. I had a note that was I found really weird in the episode. Um, did he pick a lemon and start eating it like an orange?
John, you've got better investigative reporting than I do. My goodness. That is McGee level reporting. He picked a lemon?
It's like a really yellow. I'm like,
like
who
maybe.
eats a lemon like an orange?
Maybe they were sweeter in the 70s. But that sounds horrible. Yeah.
Oh God.
I couldn't do it. My face would turn inward. I wouldn't look the same
Yeah.
ever.
Oh yeah. I like that this showed David getting a chance to be a hero and not just the Hulk.
Yeah, I love and it makes me excited for the future episodes too, is the idea of the mash of the two and their expertise. And he is not obviously the brawn, but he is the brains, and he can easily detect that, this medicine isn't supposed to look like that. It's incredibly suspicious. Like, he's quick to understand that his brains can be used in ways to help people as well. Like, and his morals, like, he was a hero. He wasn't expecting to turn to the Hulk. He never expected someone to need to be hulked. He went into this. He stuck around this orange grove, this dynasty, because he could tell something was up and he wanted to help. I like that a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. I wrote that I like that they have David being a scientist. He realizes there's something wrong with the medication for the girl. I thought that was a really cool thing that I feel like most shows would not have, because someone's a scientist. They actually are realizing there's something wrong with this medication.
Yeah, very true. I feel like they really give scientists in general like a good representation for this character to like speak up. And like, obviously he's got like a Hippocratic oath if he has any kind of doctorate like that, but he, like, did you, when you saw that whole scene where they give her medicine because she's fainting a lot and she needs help and whatever, they get her to her bedroom, they give her the medicine, did you think that the lead farmhand or the lead picker guy was in on it or was evil?
Yes.
I immediately thought he was evil. So
Yeah. Like My next note so was like was I said, something tells me this rich white family that has a whole bunch of probably not paid very well farm people. They're probably bad people.
Yep. Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah.
It just feels like such an obvious thing that they would be.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I
Probably don't
really
pay
did.
well.
It surprised me though that the head farm person wasn't in on it, because he really did feel like he was going to be in on it.
Yeah, like you could tell he was getting jealous real quick about anybody hanging around Julie. Which again, if this same episode aired on TV or was made on TV today, and people were the first question would be what age? What age is Julie supposed to be? And I didn't catch it. I don't
Yeah,
remember
I
if it
don't think
said.
they said it. I don't think they said it.
These guys
Um,
vying for her attention are way too old for her.
though I imagine she's probably, based on how she looks and how they treat her, I imagine she probably is under 18.
Yeah, it seems like it. At the very least,
Um,
she's just started college or something, or like college age.
yeah, though it doesn't seem like they're having her do any schooling. Schooling, and they want to limit everything that she can do.
Yeah, they're like, let's not make her smarter. Let's do away with her.
Uh, um, I wrote that I like that I could recognize Dr. John Bonifant because he's played by the same actor who played Mr. Feeney in Boy Meets World.
I'm so glad you said it. It's
there-
true.
Like
First thing I noticed, I was like, what the hell? Oh my god, it's Mr. Feeney.
and it's like this is like 20 years before the Boy Meets World.
True. I was laughing because I noticed when I was looking into the writers and directors of the Hulk series in general, I was looking into a lot of the same people worked on Knight Rider soon after. And Knight Rider, Mr. Feeney was the voice of the car.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, these guys are just all friends. They're casting their friends every time. It's like I was happy to see Mr. Feeney.
One thing I did find interesting when I was looking at like the directors and stuff, they so the director of I think the entire series, Kenneth Johnson. I don't think it is the same person, but I'm pretty sure that that the director of Thor's name is also Kenneth Johnson. The MCU film.
It's Kenneth Branagh. So
Kenneth, yes. Okay.
But he's more of a Shakespearean actor director. He's done a lot of Shakespearean adaptations, and so that's why they thought to put him in charge of Thor, but not Thor 2.
Yeah. Oh man, we don't talk about Thor 2.
Hey, on paper, it made a lot of sense to put the Game of Thrones directors in charge of Thor 2, but it really didn't pan out right.
Oh man, I if I remember right, actually there was going to be like Patty Jenkinson who did the Wonder Woman film was going to do Thor 2, which I think that would have been so interesting.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Hell, I think she could have done Thor 3, except everybody loves Taika Waititi now.
Yeah,
which is fair.
Yeah, he's amazing. Which honestly, even though I love Thor Ragnarok, Ragnarok is his worst film.
Taika Waititi's movie?
Yes.
Worst film?
Yes.
You know what?
He has so many great films, and even though I love Thor Ragnarok is one of my favorite films. I as being objective, I know that though that everything else he's done is so good.
It's true. And that's the funny thing. If Thor Ragnarok is his worst film, that's saying something.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There are people who didn't like Thor Ragnarok who or they don't like that he's going to come back to direct Lord Love and Thunder, and they're also like people who are like, oh, he's going to just make jokes about cancer because of Jane Foster are supposed to have cancer in that storyline.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to. He
No.
no, he's not. Yeah, because I think that it's not going to just be the same as Thor Ragnarok. It's going to be more like Jojo Rabbit. Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah, I love Jojo Rabbit. That's
It's
definitely
going to
one of
be
his best.
something very tasteful.
Hmm.
It's not going to be just as goofy. I think it's going to be very emotional. And,
Well, I
it's
think
going to be
that
funny, but very emotional.
agreed. Yeah, I was gonna say like he skirts the line of the perfect blend of if you're gonna deal with something traumatic, like internment camps, like the what's it called, the Hitler Youth, for example. Not an easy subject, but he tackled it in a way that was both joyful and horrifying,
Yeah.
in this really interesting way. Which if you're that's what drives me nuts is when people say, and not to get too dark, but when people who've never had something like a physical illness touch their family in some way, um, like cancer, for example, just like they don't. Everybody assumes that, oh, you can't joke about it, you can't make any jokes. It's like it really depends. It really
Mhm.
just depends on how well crafted things are and
Yeah.
how tastefully they're done. And
Yeah.
if anything, people who've been touched
I,
by that need a laugh. So
I think there will hey, okay. I think there will be jokes, but I very much think that they will be very tastefully done,
yeah,
like stuff in Jojo Rabbit. It's not gonna just be slapstick or something
yeah,
like a
it's not a
lot of stuff
voiceover.
was in Thor Ragnarok. And I think that there's a lot of people who don't understand that he's not just gonna make fun of everything. He is going to treat it with a lot of care.
Yeah, I think he's gonna make people cry,
Yeah.
and I am excited to see those people eat their words when they are brought to their knees with great emotion and great satisfaction as far as a character development can go.
Mhm. Uh, um. So I wrote a side that I personally think it's kind of funny. Probably it's not that funny to most people, but there was a line from Dr. Bonifant, and where he said, "Eh, it's hard to dazzle someone with biochemical trivia." And I'm like, yeah, I bet it is. There's a reason that I don't really go into like school subjects and stuff with my trivia because I don't think most people are gonna find that very interesting. I wouldn't find that very interesting, so I don't think most people are going to want my a trivia like stream or something to be a just math or
Yeah, yeah,
history or something. I don't want it to feel like you're back in school. I'm not trying to teach you. I'm trying to give you a fun time.
exactly. No, I
Yeah.
think you do it very well with the topics you
Uh,
choose.
I just thought that was funny to funny that he include this line like that because I'm like, yeah, I bet it would be hard to dazzle someone with that.
No one should try.
Oh, definitely not. Um, I wrote that I feel sorry for Danny being getting used, and this I actually did write about how I was surprised that he's not in the loop on what's going on. His
Yeah,
character felt like he could be bad from the first moment we saw him.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
he seemed he could be evil, no problem. Like hands down, the way he closes the door in that very like Godfather end scene type way, where it's like, oh, this man's an outsider, get out of here, type of thing. And he's just like, that's the type of move that someone who was up to something would do.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I guess also someone who is possibly a very interested in someone he should not be very interested
yeah,
in and might be might want to do.
yeah.
So honestly, he might be a bad guy still, but
You're right.
still because
You're
of
right on
that.
that. different kind for sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
Oh man. I liked Hulk throwing the two guys to the side in the battle, in the barn.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Again, slow mo. Great use of slow mo.
yeah.
Make him look epic.
I also really like the Hulk breaking down the stairs.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that
Oh,
they just
man.
make these sets for him to destroy, and I feel like they're just going to
Uh,
keep doing it in every episode.
oh yeah, I imagine he has to have had so much fun being able to just destroy lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Like that would be a great job. Just be able to go around out smashing stuff.
Just imagine the stories that he tells of like everybody else is like, oh, what did you think of, like, how did you get embody the character, and how did you really get into the mindset of the the Incredible Hulk? And he's just like, this one time I got to smash some stairs. This other time I got to sink in quicksand.
Oh man. Oh, like my next thing was so the scene with Hulk sitting with Michael, I think his name is the
War veteran.
alcoholic old man, and
Yeah.
Hulk just he's staring at them at this with this expression like, I know I'm strange, but you're strange too. You're really strange too. I just found that so hilarious. And like the guy saying, "Can you speak?" And then Hulk just responds, "Arr."
What does Michael say after that? I forget. The line after that is pretty
I
funny
am
too.
not sure. Sure, but because the next thing that I had was another line from Michael after he gave a Hulk, I think, a chicken to eat, and
Oh yeah.
he just was like, bone and all. He
Bone
ate
and
the
all.
whole thing, bone and all.
He repeats it. The man's talking to himself. He's been around. He's been alone a long time, I feel. Oh yeah, that was a great. You know what it reminded me of too is, have you ever seen the 1930s Frankenstein, like Boris Karloff
I
Frankenstein?
don't think I have. I haven't watched a lot of the classic Universal Monsters films yet. Sadly.
They are a lot of fun. It's another thing you gotta really like turn out all alerts and notifications off and just get completely immersed in them. But like the Frankenstein movie with Boris Karloff is nothing like the book by Mary Shelley, but the character
Mhm.
that they create for the monster, for him to walk around and kind of be this harmless hulking thing that grunts and can't talk, it reminded me a lot of that, because he comes across a blind man, he comes across a little girl, like there's these all these interactions with very innocent, very helpless people who he doesn't harm. And it really makes it for like a morally gray, like, oh, why is the mob chasing him, type of, this angry mob chasing him
Mhm.
kind of thing. It reminded me a lot of Frankenstein.
Yeah, I may need to watch that,
Yeah,
and maybe
the
at some point,
original.
after I've gone through all of the Hulk content that I can review, maybe at some point I could review like some Frankenstein stuff on here.
There you
That
go.
would kind of work in the theme.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, I mean, he
um,
does smash things.
uh, uh, well, I wrote one more thing about the scene with the with Hulk and Michael is I bet Michael is probably thinking that after giving Hulk the alcohol and Hulk do not mix. They
Yep.
note to self, please don't ever do this again. And also at least he did eat the glass.
Yep. And I wondered if that would take play into a factor at the end when he throws away the bottle, and he's like the poison or the booze, it's all the same, and he throws away the bottle, and then at the end, the epilogue of the episode, you see that he's like cleaned up kind of thing. He's all like probably sober, I imagine. I wonder how much Hulk's reaction to his bourbon or his booze at that point played a factor in, maybe I shouldn't be taking this stuff. Maybe I shouldn't.
Probably. Uh, So I wrote the hey, the William Dafoe looking reporter's back. Which
Parker.
honestly, like that he didn't really fit into this episode at all.
Mm,
At
yeah.
least not in my opinion.
Yeah, it felt more shoehorned in. Like they were like, "Oh, we have a contract. He needs to be in every episode, or at least we have to show that this McGee character is still following him and still a threat." But he
Yeah.
didn't really fit in at all. You're right. There was no time really made for him.
Yeah. Um I liked seeing David sneak around the hospital. I thought that was just really kind of fun.
Yeah, you get a lot of David time in these, and it's understandably so. But he's playing playing the human hero. It's good.
Yeah. Oh, I love seeing Hulk barricading a door.
I love seeing Hulk
Um,
yeet the bear.
yeah. Oh my god.
To jump ahead again.
But that's only like a couple notes ahead of me, but like I wrote, everyone keeps asking Hulk if he can speak. I bet he's starting to find that very offensive.
Yeah, he's like, please stop asking me. I can't. If I could, I would, and I tell you that I can't.
Or that he just doesn't want to.
Yeah, yeah. Some people they
Like,
choose not to speak.
yeah, I've had people ask me, people who don't like wearing masks, why do I keep wearing masks? I'm like, well, for one, I don't like people, so I don't want to interact with people. And this gives me an extra layer of the layer to not have to interact with people.
There you go. At least you're honest.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, like interacting with people, a lot of people, they really suck.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's an old rule my dad used to say, which was it's pretty cynical, but 60-40, 60% of the world is idiots.
Yeah.
The other 40, they're okay.
Yeah. Oh, I like in Eternals, Fastos, like he was like,
Oh yeah.
he lost faith in humanity, and he still didn't have faith in humanity. It's like, I just found some people that were good.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
found some of the few people who actually are good, and I honestly, I kind of feel like that is it is reality. There a large portion of people aren't very good, but
Yeah,
there are a select few that you will hopefully find in your life that are good people.
it's true. You
Yeah,
gotta look for them, and some of it is luck, for sure.
yeah. Um, I wrote out, and this was cleared up later, but I had wondered what happened to the Michael character that he was so afraid to help. Um, because it was pretty obvious that there was something there.
Yeah, I wonder. Well, yeah, you're wondering if it's like PTSD. You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the guy he's out in the woods by himself and trying to stay away from anything that could trigger something, I'm sure, but he just drinks to forget, kind of thing. It's such a trope at that point, I'm sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Um, there's another line from Michael. Oh boy, I sure do wish I was you. There's some people I'd like to be mad at. Which, when I heard that line, I burst out laughing.
Some people I'd like to be mad at. Yeah, it's an odd way of phrasing that.
Yeah. Oh man. I think those I that was he was talking to Banner where Banner was like, I can't choose or when I become the Hulk or something.
Yeah.
And my next note was I love seeing Hulk fight and throw the bear. And
Yes.
and then afterwards, Hulk is just starts splashing water around. uh, I
He's like, you
love
know what? I
that.
don't take enough time for me.
Yeah.
Just gonna enjoy this little swim while I have it. I'm sure something terrible is gonna come along in a minute anyway.
Mhm. Oh man. Oh, like there's a scene where Hulk, Julie has to convince him to follow Michael. Oh, and I'm like, and I wrote Hulk has good reason not to want to trust and follow Michael, since Michael had him drink alcohol, which was so disgusting he had to spit it out, which almost burned him.
Yeah, it's true. Every
Uh,
instinct would say stay away from Michael after that.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me. You ever seen Edward Scissorhands?
Yeah, I've seen that. It's been
When
a
he,
while, but yeah.
I think it's scotch he gives him, and he said he calls it lemonade, and he takes a sip, he drinks the whole thing, and then he just keels over and goes. Or someone mentions lemonade to him the next day, and he like throws up in their hands.
Oh man. Ugh.
Like, oh, okay, that's not lemonade. Poor guy.
Yeah. Oh, the scene where Michael is injured. I wrote, in the time you've been with Hulk, you'd think you'd realize he's not a doctor like David is.
Very true.
Like
Like,
they're like
can't you
telling,
help him? You're a doctor.
yeah, right.
Does he look like a doctor? I'm sorry, I left my pet stethoscope in my other shirt.
Oh man. But this is where we find out about Michael's guilt, why he didn't want to help. Losing a son and feeling like it was your fault has to be hard, even if your son saved a lot of people. Uh, I love that David inspired Julie to walk again, and I thought that was a really cool scene.
Yeah, he like his words, because it's like David's words, and then watching the Hulk suffer and kind of because he's just going to sink faster by being the Hulk. She had to act, and it would if it wasn't for David saying that to her earlier, she wouldn't have found the courage. That was cool. It was a very they have these inspiring moments in this show that the music comes in just right, and you're like, oh, okay, it got me in the feels, and I really wasn't expecting that.
When we first see the helicopter, I thought to myself, I really hope we get to see Hulk versus the helicopter, and happily we got that, though it was sadly a very short fight.
Yeah, that might come back to the budget thing.
Yep.
It's like, you know what? We got about 5 seconds for helicopter.
Like I mainly wanted to see that because I have seen obviously Hulk fighting a helicopter before in other iterations. I thought with this iteration specifically, I think that would be really interesting to see how he would go about doing that.
Yeah,
it's such a different Hulk.
Yeah.
And last note that I had for this episode is poor Hulk. He doesn't want to hide. Right before Julie goes to the troopers station or something.
Oh yeah.
You can just see how sad Hulk was that he has to hide.
Yeah, you're right about them having a kind of a sad ending at every one of these episodes.
Yeah.
I hope it does change though.
Yeah, because they're like, I want there to at least be some episodes where we end on upbeat.
Yeah.
So I honestly, I think this one, I like the first one a lot better, and I think that's mainly because of the sciencey feel that it has. But this one, I think it's still enjoyable, and I like that both episodes feel vastly different.
Me too. And I think that there's a lot of potential for him being kind of his own kind of secret crime fighter, where he's going around and deducing things with his brain and then taking people out with his brawn. But that first episode felt like the first of many iterations of a Hulk origin story, which I think the recognizability of that kind of trope, that kind of storyline was like, oh, this is how probably the Eric Bana 2003 and the Edward Norton one were both kind of paying a lot of homage and probably looking at it for like blueprints of, okay, these are the beats. We need him to turn into the Hulk this many times. He needs to go through this kind of procedure. So it was just more familiar as a Hulk story. So I appreciate the second episode. I was going to call it the sequel, the second episode, for how different it was.
Which, like, so you're probably wondering why I chose to do these two, both of the episodes. One, it was one I just wanted to have the podcast be longer, but also before I watched it, I read that though the rest of the show episodes don't really connect much to each other, or these first two episodes, they very much connect to each other, and how one ends and the other begins. And I thought, and I was guessing that it was gonna be like a cliffhanger thing, so that was mainly why I chose to do it like this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, which it did end up being exactly a cliffhanger thing, but I mean, because they were very different and episodes,
but it did feel
yeah.
more connected than I'm super.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, but it was still a cool contrast to follow one up with the other for sure.
So I have some trivia from the episodes. So
Nice.
firstly, I have the quotes from Screen Rant, which is where I found the information about the quote unquote too gay thing. So the quote was, so while it was based on Marvel Comics, the Incredible Hulk TV show was developed for TV by a man named Kenneth Johnson. Johnson wasn't a fan of comics and felt that a heavy focus on making the show like the comic might turn off audiences of the time. He made the decision to not have the Hulk speak, meaning that lines like Hulk smash never made it into the scripts, which that I kind of annoys me, because because I want Hulk to be able to say his iconic line.
True.
It's accounts differ as to exactly why Bruce Banner became David Banner. But for the most part, for his part, Johnson has said that he did to further separate the show from the comics due to Marvel characters having alliterative names, which alliterative names, and it's basically Bruce Banner, Peter Parker, or blah blah blah. He also later said that he named the character or David after his own son. Comic book fans are liable to think that that reasonable is laughable on its face, especially considering what a media juggernaut Marvel movies and TV shows have since become, where things get really grown worthy, though with an alternative explanation for the name change offered by both Stan Lee, the creator of Hulk, and Lou Ferrigno, who played the Hulk in the show, where they claim that CBS executives demanded the name Bruce not be used because it was, and I quote, too gay, and feared that the audience would believe the Bruce Banner was a homosexual character. And so there are differing reports, but I would more likely believe what was said by Stan Lee and Lou Ferrigno about it, because I don't see them having reason to lie, versus like Kenneth Johnson. I feel like he may not have wanted to bring up something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's something
Being
you'd
that
want to
it is
distance yourself
his
from.
creation.
Yeah.
Um, so trivia from IMDb that I thought was interesting. In the first episode, so it was released theatrically in the UK. The two car accidents in which both cars were flipped using separate flashbacks for the banners and the mayor's were filmed the same day. It was also theatrically released in France, and that was like 2 years later, under the French name Le Incroyable Hulk. Um, the scene where Hulk interacts with the little girl at the lake is reminiscent of the scene in Frankenstein 1931 where
Nice.
the a monster sees a little girl by a lake after escaping the castle. The approach of the Hulk is shot nearly the same way as the monsters was in Frankenstein. Uh, the difference is that in the Incredible Hulk, the girl's frightened by the Hulk, and in Frankenstein, she happily interacts with the Hulk. Oh well, not with the Hulk, with the monster.
Yeah,
Yeah. The casting department had sought Arnold Schwarzenegger actually for the role of the Hulk, but the producers felt that he wasn't tall enough.
Ah,
Oh my god,
was
that would have
Ferrigno
been interesting.
was he
What?
taller than Schwarzenegger?
Oh, let's see. Let me look it
It's kind
up.
of funny
So,
because I know Schwarzenegger's. I guess he's way shorter than I thought too. But the way that his bodybuilding documentary "Pumping Iron" is shot, it's almost like Schwarzenegger was standing on a box the whole time. He always seems taller than everybody else in the room. That's pretty funny.
Lou Ferrigno is 6'5", while Arnold Schwarzenegger is 6'2".
Wow.
So Arnold Schwarzenegger is right around the exact same height that I am.
Damn, you're 6'2"?
Yep.
You're huge.
Oh, oh man.
Only
Like it was.
six.
I imagine it would surprise you, or or if I ever met at like any of the people from the Avengers podcast in real life, like them seeing me, how tall I actually am. Is
Yeah. Always
it's
sitting
not
down.
something that I talk about a lot because is unlike like popular belief, being tall is not this magical thing. It's more of a curse than it is than it is
Yeah.
a good
I
thing.
see what you mean. Oh.
Uh, the only time that I ever do talk about it
Well, no
is
wonder
me
you relate
talk.
to the Hulk.
Only times I ever do talk about it, I do make sure to mention like this isn't a good thing. This is like a really bad thing.
I hate this.
Yeah. Oh man. Um, An homage to the Incredible Hulk television series can be found in the Edward Norton movie version, while Bruce sits in his tiny room in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The television set is broadcasting an episode of the courtship of Eddie's father, a show that Bill Bixby, the David actor, starred in from 1969 through 1972.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah. These are things I found off of IMDb. These are definitely not things I would have found myself. Um, David and Elena decide to go to the Southwest lab for isolation and to try and find out more about David's newfound condition. This is an homage to the Southwest Missile Base, ace from the early Age of Hulk comics, which employed Bruce Banner as an atomic scientist and was presided over by General Thunderbolt Ross and Major Glenn Talbot. Yeah.
which is way
and
more like the Bana movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the second episode did not have many a bits of trivia on IMDb that especially not many that I found very interesting. The two that I did get was this episode was edited for into two parts for when it was syndicated. And this second feature length edition is a direct continuation of the pilot film, which this won't occur again during the regular show.
Huh.
And I got just a couple more pieces of trivia that I found from the Hulk wiki, which the first episode the movie was also theatrically released in Australia, Finland, Germany, and the Philippines.
Wow.
Yeah. So it seems mainly wasn't released theatrically here in America, which I imagine it would have been really cool to be able to watch this just in a movie theater.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It clearly speaks for itself as far as how much in demand it was for them to distribute it that way.
yeah.
Cool.
Kenneth Johnson, the director, made a voice cameo role apparently as Scotty over the intercom in the Southwest Lab when and Banner is notified of the arrival of the state trooper and McGee. A, and the second episode we have the apparently the bear knocked the wig off of Lou Ferrigno's head, licked off of his his makeup, and caused a number of other production difficulties.
I knew that bear couldn't have been a professional.
Oh man. The only other thing, a other piece of trivia I have, which you've already brought up, is how William Daniels, a guest in this episode, was also both the voice of Kit in the Knight Rider show and also as Mr. Feeney.
Yeah, it was very weird to see him without a mustache.
Oh yeah, it's so surprising. Isaac, and to see him so young.
Yeah, I loved his flirting. His well, not really flirting, but she was coming on to him, and he was like, you're so sweet when you need to be," or whatever. I was like, yeah, he
Yeah,
shut her down.
yeah. That kid's like, I know you're trying to manipulate me.
Yeah, so let's keep this professional, shall we?
uh,
And he goes give some neighbor boy advice.
all right. So I sadly and honestly, this was kind of expected because of how old these episodes were. I didn't get anyone to who respond to my post asking for thoughts about the episode. But I will now reveal the answer to the trivia question from earlier, which
Yes.
that series was Tales to Astonish.
Okay. There were so many names in the Marvel universe, especially so many comic book runs that could throw. It's just like the What If thing. Like What If was a title for so long, and it was naturally a thing that they should go with. It'd be interesting to see if they can come up with some mashup series in the future called Tales to Astonish to pay homage.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It'd be very cool.
Yeah, I can see a series on Disney Plus, us where every episode is like about a different character in the MCU that they wouldn't have time to make a movie about because they're too small of a character.
Yeah, that'd be wicked, especially with this multiverse now. It's like they could be
Yeah.
operating for years and we'd never need to know or see them cross over.
Yeah.
And so now they can just be there now.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, they could, and I feel like with something like that, you could like have like some episodes are live action and some episodes are animation.
Yeah,
Which I think would be a really cool idea for a series.
That'd be a great variety.
Well, do you have any final thoughts?
I cannot wait to hear more of the podcast, and I can't wait to have you to see what you think of the animated series.
Yeah. Well, Thank you for that. I will give my outro now. Thank you for watching or listening. And if you like this game analysis, please give a 5-star review. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the pilot movie, so please let me know. If you'd like to listen to more from me, please subscribe. Many more gamma analyses coming from me, so keep on the lookout. Expect, as I said last week, expect a lot of changes throughout the first 2 episodes as I figure out exactly how I want to keep formatting this going forward. This again is your host, Smash Trivia John, signing off.
Yeah.